How's it going out there, YouTuber? Cyberneticshark here with another new movie review for you. So let's get right into this review and see what I saw. So welcome to an all-new movie review, folks out there in YouTube land, the Instagram, Facebook, all those great lands out there that watch awesome social media. So anyways, this movie review is of a movie I actually saw over a month ago. I'm finally just getting around to it because I've seen so many movies over the last month and I just haven't had time to do all the reviews yet. So I'm just finally getting to this one. This is a great, film that is a awesome spin-off series of an already great franchise that actually will be releasing its 9th film next year. Now, this awesome spin-off series, you probably already know what it is. You got how many big series is there that there's another sequel coming out next year besides, Bad Boys for Life and, maybe a few other things. But this awesome franchise made its name off of racing cars. And this awesome spin-off series is taking two of the characters from the awesome series and giving them their own standalone film. Now, this awesome film that I'm talking about, of course, is the great Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. Ooh, yeah. So Hobbs and Shaw, this awesome film is amazing, great, spectacular, just really well, choreographed fight sequences, lots of great writing, beautifully written by Chris Morgan again, and just a really a great spinoff. Now, of course, this film, brings back a couple great actors. It's got an awesome director that I feel doesn't get enough recognition from how great of a director he is because he is so great at fighting choreography. He's so great at stunts and action sequences. And he has a really good eye for all those things, especially with the CGI these days, too. He knows how to put the CGI in a very not as protruding way, I should say, because he really is able to get it to blend very well, and you really can't tell it's CGI in some aspects. Of course, there's going to be certain aspects that you're going to be like, oh yeah, that's totally CGI, but there are a lot of scenes that add a little CGI that helps make the fight sequence better, and I feel he has a great eye for that, and he has shown that through a lot of his films. Now, to start off this awesome film, we like to talk about the awesome director himself, Mr. David Leitch! Oh yeah! So David Leitch, was a co-director on the first John Wick film. He didn't get credited, unfortunately, for his directing on the film, but still was an awesome part of bringing to life that great new series starring the awesome Keanu Reeves. But a couple films I really enjoyed him and thought he did a fantastic job directing was none other than a Charlize Theron film that came out in 2017 that I feel is probably one of Charlize Theron's best films to date. I really enjoyed her in this film. I thought she was really fantastic. I like her whole persona throughout the film. I like her fight sequences and all that kind of cool stuff. And I just think that this film really fit her very well. And then, of course, is a film called Atomic Blonde. Oh, yeah. So Atomic Blonde, if you haven't seen it, first off, definitely check it out. It's an amazing film. Great cast. Great action. John Goodman's in it. James McAvoy. Sophia Boutella. I mean, this movie has a great cast and just is really well done. But I thought David Leitch did an amazing job with this film, giving some really great, fight sequences, lots of great action sequences, a great story, and just a really kind of very strong feminine lead character role that really kicks butt. And I thought that he really brought to life this awesome character too as well by giving this really great just directing job where he really took all the aspects and put them all together in a very great and fantastic way. And I just really enjoyed this film and thought that it was really well done by David, and that David really put a great eye into his past, stunt experience. He really showed some great action sequences and stunt performances by the actors in this film that really showed his great stunt, backing, that he has had. And also, he just, like I said, he has such a great eye for these action sequences and gives us these really fantastic just pictures that really, you're sitting there and just always yes, more! It's just, he does such a great job of bringing that to life. And that was shown in Atomic Blonde very much so, and you're just kind of watching through the whole film going, when's the next fight sequence? When's the next action sequence? Oh my god, this is great. This is what, this is pitch perfect on action sequences. I would rate some of his action sequences in his films to like such great performances like such in Terminator 2 and films like that. That these are just really overlooked greatness by David Leitch, and that he should get more recognition for how great of a director he is, and that really showed in Atomic Blonde. The second film that David Leitch directed that I think he did a great job with is an awesome sequel to a 2016 heavyweight giant that really came out of nowhere, blew everyone's expectation away, and started this great new franchise. And then, of course, the film called Deadpool 2. Oh yeah, Deadpool 2 was so awesome. Every aspect of that film was so cool. The addition of bringing in more mutants was really awesome. Getting to see Ryan Reynolds in action again as Deadpool was just perfect. And David Leitch did a great, amazing job, with the sequel. Tim Miller did a great job with the first film, but I feel that David Leitch even brought it even higher and gave us even more better action sequences and gave us even more great mercenary with a mouth performances. And bringing in, Cable and bringing in other characters such as the Juggernaut was just a great, leap and giving us what we were actually looking for, what is, from the comic books. And he just did such a great job directing this film and just gave us even better and better Deadpool. And I just love what he did with the film. I just thought it was a really well-conceived film as well, really greatly directed by him, and just once again, he brought those great action sequences, especially that train sequence where the Juggernaut hits down into the ground and like the train breaks apart and all that kind of cool stuff. I just thought, well, not the train, but the giant, basically like a train, but it's like a giant, transportation truck thing. But still, at the same time, that whole sequence was so well created, and you could just see his awesome, background to stunt performing in this whole sequence, and it just was really well done. Really great directed by the great David Leitch in this film, and just he made a really fantastic, great sequel. And looking forward to more from him being able to do more in that type of field as well. So when it comes to his directing, Hobbs and Shaw, he once again hit it out of the park. He made a great, awesome spin-off series that really gave us this great, amazing, better aspect on the Hobbs and Shaw's characters. He developed it so well. He gave us this great performance. He gave us lots of great action sequences, and he took it even further. And just with some of the action sequences in the film that you haven't seen in other films, and he did such a great job with that. And I just really enjoyed that aspect of it, and it really just was a really fantastically directed film by him. He did an amazing job with this film, and I'm looking forward to more from him in the future. So like I was saying, we have a great all-star cast in this film. We have a couple people from the Fast and Furious franchise reprising roles from the Fast and Furious franchise. Of course, Mr. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Of course, Mr. Jason Statham. But then we also have some great other people, adding great additions to this film and just giving us some really great performances and making a great action flick. Now, to start us off, of course, I would like to talk about Mr. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Oh, yeah. So, Mr. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, we all know as, in several films. We know him as Hobbs, of course, but we also know him from such films as Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. We know him from such films as Rampage, Skyscraper, San Andreas. We know him from Baywatch. We know him from a slew of different films over the years that he's done. And he just has, done a great job of, all these different performances, and just a really awesome guy, and just really fun to watch. Now, a couple of films I like to talk about that I really enjoyed him in was, of course, none other than an awesome film that came out in 2017 that I thought was a really fun kind of take on, a great TV series that was huge, very popular, had a lot of great, actresses in it that were considered very sexy and very much sex symbols. And, with a great, lead actor such as Mr. David Hasselhoff, having to take on his role in this film is a big, shoe to fill. And, Dwayne did a great job of, doing that. And then, of course, the film called Baywatch. Oh, yeah. Absolutely thought this film was fantastic. Loved it. Super hilarious. Loved the action sequences in it. I loved the whole bad guy vibe that we got from Priyanka Chopra. I thought she was great as a villain. I love all the different, people that were involved in the film. and everyone was just so perfect and funny in the film. And Zac Efron and Dwayne were just so great working together, and just made a really fun film, I thought. I wasn't going in looking for something to be Oscar worthy with this film, and that's exactly what they did. They made a really fun, basically take on a TV series and gave it a little bit more of a action vibe with a very hard R rating. And I thought that they did a really good job, and I thought Dwayne was really awesome in it, and just did a really awesome job filling those shoes of David Hasselhoff. And like I said, I thought he really interacted well with everyone in the film. He gave us this great performance that was, pure, Dwayne himself, pretty much. The stern, but yet has love for people, and is, very macho and stuff like that, and just, really does a great job of always portraying the characters he portrays. And he just did a really fantastic job in the film. Really enjoyed him, and I think it's a really fantastic film. If you haven't seen Baywatch yet, definitely give it a whirl, people. It's worth the watch. The second film that I really enjoyed that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was in is an awesome film starring the great Kevin Hart, who they worked so well together in this film and just made a great action comedy film. Much along the lines, I feel, like Rush Hour, Another 48 Hours, the Beverly Hills Cop series, that type of, that's what this movie kind of made me feel, think of. Such films like also Running Scared with Gargary Hines and Billy Crystal as well. And then, of course, the film called Central Intelligence. Oh yeah, absolutely love this movie. I think it's amazing, super hilarious, fun, well written, and just a really fun film with a lot of great humor in it. And I just thought that, Dwayne was so awesome in this film, along with Kevin Hart. They worked so well together. They also did Jumanji together, which I think they worked really well together. And I just thought that he was, like, so awesome in this role, simply for the fact that he played such a different character than his, other films he's played, where he's kind of plays this, like, giant nerd, but that has a lot of muscles. And I love that. I think it was absolutely hilarious, and he was so good at it. And I just felt this movie really showed his comedic chops and how good he is at comedy, and how he can play different roles than just being this, macho superhero, action star guy. That he does have more than that to offer in, the instance of being an action star. And that this movie really showed that, and showed that he has great comedic chops. That's what I feel like when I watch either The Tooth Fairy or Race to Witch Mountain or The Game Plan. Those movies really show how great of an actor he is too, because of his comedic element in those films, along with his dramatic performance in The Gridiron Gang, which really showed how awesome he is at acting too as well. So I really feel that this movie really shows how great of an actor Dwayne is, and how awesome he does other portrayals other than just like some superhero, being the hero kind of character. And he just was really awesome in it, and really worked well with Kevin, and they just made a really fun and awesome film. If you haven't seen Central Intelligence, it is freaking hilarious. Definitely check it out, people. It's worth the watch. Now, it comes to his performance in, playing Hobbs again. Once again, he brought it again. Bringing Hobbs to life is such an amazing performance by him. Such a great character. And I love where he took the character in this one. I love how he showed, you got to know a little bit more about his side of his life. You got to see more about him, and he got to develop this character more, because it was more about focused on his character and Jason Statham's character in this versus the Fast and Furious franchise, where it's, more focused on Dom and everyone else. And this one just, he was so great at, giving us this whole other, why we don't really know about his family, like why he, feels the way he does about certain things and stuff like that. And I just thought they did a really good job, and Dwayne did a really good job of portraying that and giving this great performance. If you haven't seen Hobbs and Shaw yet, definitely check it out, people. Dwayne's performance was amazing in it, and is another great take on Hobbs, and is just a really fantastic film. Definitely check it out, people. It's worth the watch. So that brings me to the second actor in this awesome film. And that, of course, is Mr. Shaw himself. Mr. Jason Statham! Oh, yeah! So Jason Statham, we all recognize from the two Crank films. We recognize him from such films as Redemption, Wild Card, so many great films. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch. I mean, this guy, he's been in a ton of movies over the last 20 plus years, and he's just a really awesome action star that does lots of great action. And I feel he should do more comedy. And that really showed in Hobbs and Shaw because, once again, I feel that probably Jason Statham's best film to date is the film Spy. Because he really showed how great of a comedian he can be and how fun he can be. And I think that movie really shows how awesome of a comedian he is, other than being also an action star as well. Now, a couple films I like to talk about that he was in that I really enjoyed. The first one I like to start off with is an awesome film that came out just last year and is an awesome shark save the world type of film. And I absolutely love the book series. I've read the first 3 books. I'm currently on the 4th book of this series. And even though the movie didn't do the books justice, it still was a fantastic creature feature type of film. And that, of course, a film called The Meg. Oh, yeah. Megalodon. Oh, my God. So fascinated by Megalodon. I wish they were still around so we could see them and learn more about them, because they were just so freaking awesome. I mean, the size of them was, amazing compared to the, our current great white sharks that we see around today. And this, shark was just such a ferocious and the, eater of the sea. He was the king of the sea. And this movie was just so much fun to actually see Megalodon kind of given, a huge creature feature, big picture film. And the CGI in this film was so well done. And just was such a great film. But Jason Statham, I really enjoyed him as the character Jonas. He was really awesome, did a great job. He gave us this great performance that was very similar to what the character was like in the books. I thought that he did a great job with that. And I thought that he also was just really fun in the film, too, and had a lot of great sequences that he, did, action sequences in. And he just gave a really fun performance as the character. And I thought he worked really well with everyone that was involved in the film. And that he just was a really great Jonas as well. If you haven't seen The Meg, definitely check it out, people. It's worth a watch. Really fun film and a great creature feature. The second film that I like to talk about that Jason Statham was in is an awesome film that came out in 2001. Now, this film, I feel, does not get enough credit for how awesome and how well done and just how fantastic it was for its time in 2001. Now, this movie stars the great Jet Li as well, and is a really awesome sci-fi film that just gives a lot of great and interesting, aspects into the world if there were other dimensions that, say there was another person or another same one of you in another dimension. And basically that's what this film kind of entangles. Science fiction along with that interdimensional theme and all kinds of cool stuff. And Jason Statham was really awesome in this film. And of course the film is called The One. Oh yeah. This movie was fantastic. I absolutely love it. I think it was really well done, and I just love Jason Statham's character in it. He actually kind of plays like a cop character of almost like of a time bureau, basically, like in Legends of Tomorrow. And he basically stops other dimensional of a certain person from going into another dimension and killing the other dimensions version of them. Because supposedly in this universe, if you kill every single one of your other doppelgangers, basically you'll become so powerful that you'll be the most strongest being in the universe, basically. And that's what this film is. And Jason Statham plays this cop character where he's trying to stop this Jet Li character from killing his other Jet Li characters to become this greatest person he is. And it's just a really amazing role, and one of Jason Statham's earlier roles, and I think that he doesn't get enough credit for how awesome that role was, how well created and how well done it was, and how fun he was in the film, because it was a very different character for him, too, versus some of the other stuff he's done over the years. And I really enjoyed it, because he was kind of more mellow in it. He was a little different than his, normally cocky kind of self character that he usually plays. And that was refreshing to see him play this character, and fun to see him kind of play a good guy for once, versus kind of always playing kind of like an anti-hero, I would say, or a bad guy type of character that he's played quite often in some films. And he just was really awesome in this film. If you haven't seen The One, definitely check it out, people. It's an awesome story, really well done story, and just a really great film that has really great CGI for its time in 2001. Really fun film. Definitely check it out, people. It's worth the watch. Now, it comes to Jason Statham playing Shaw again. It was beautiful to see even a bigger side of Shaw in this film as well. It was great to see the more development on the character, giving us a little bit more of his background. And Jason was just really awesome in the film, and him and Dwayne just work so amazing together, and they're so stinking funny together. And some of their lines together in the film were so stinking hilarious, and Jason just brought that through and gave us this great performance again. Definitely, if you're a huge Jason Statham fan, definitely check out Hobbs and Shaw. His performance is awesome in it, amazing, really fun, really well crafted and done, and just a really great performance. If you haven't seen it, definitely check out people. It's worth the watch. So that brings me to the third person I like to talk about that was in this film that was really awesome. And that, of course, is the main bad guy himself that we've seen in a few films over the years that, he's become pretty popular. He's fun to watch. He's played bad guys. He's played good guys. He's played many different characters. And that, of course, is Mr. Idris Elba. Oh, yeah. Idris Elba. He plays the main bad guy in this film, and he really rocked it and was really awesome. Now, a couple of films I really enjoyed him in, and of course I thought that he was really fantastic in, was none other than an awesome film that came out in 2013. That was an amazing first film directed by Guillermo del Toro that deals with kaiju and giant robots being built by us to fight. And this movie is just so stinking awesome. And that, of course, is the film called Pacific Rim. Oh, yeah. Absolutely love Pacific Rim. Amazing film. CGI in this film was so well done. Very well written. Beautifully directed by Guillermo. And just, it was a really awesome new type of concept type of film. And it was just really fun to see in like something like a new kind of creature feature film that, deals with like giant robots, giant, monster creatures like that are from like Godzilla's era and stuff like that. And just like kind of a cool new like robot fighting film, which I thought, the last time they did that was like back in the 90s and the late 80s with Robot Jocks and stuff like that. And this movie just proved that, it was worth the wait because this movie was so amazing. And Idris Elba was so awesome in this film as the commander guy, dealing with, Charlie Hunnam's character and everyone else's character and just bringing to life, basically this whole idea that Guillermo came up with and just made this really fantastic film. And Idris I really thought did a really great job in the film. You kind of hate him, but you kind of at the same time like him. And I like that dynamic that he had in the film. And you kind of felt bad for him, but at the same time you felt like, oh, he's, a cool guy and he's not too bad and he's interesting and stuff like that. And I just thought that he did a really fun job and a really great job in the film. And I just thought this was one of his best roles I've seen. Really enjoyed him, and if you haven't seen Pacific Rim yet, you have not lived, people. Definitely check out this film. It's such an amazing film, and Idris's performance is really awesome in it. So that brings me to the second film Mr. Idris Elba was in that I really enjoyed. Now, in this one, he plays a bad guy, and he just plays a really fantastic bad guy in this film as well, and just brings to life this character and gives us really a well-done performance. And that film, of course, is called No Good Deed. Oh, yeah. Starring the great Taraji P. Henson. Now, this film, he just plays this really amazing bad guy. Basically, he's being transported. He breaks out and goes to basically a house that he knows that his supposed girlfriend that he's been with is cheating with the husband of Taraji P. Henson. And basically, unfortunately, Taraji gets mixed up in this because of her husband, and she has to fight for her life and try to, stop Idris Elba from killing her, basically. It's a really awesome thriller film, really well directed, really well written, great performance by everyone around, and Idris was just such a great bad guy. He had such a great sinisterness to him. He just was like so just on point in each aspect of playing this character, and just did a really great job. If you haven't seen No Good Deeds yet, people, definitely check it out. It's such an amazing film, really well done, and worth the watch. Now, it comes to Idris's performance as the main villain in this film. He was really awesome. I really enjoyed his take on the character, basically like this former friend kind of Dwayne the Rock Johnson that has gone like his basically everything's gone to his head and has caused him to like think that he wants to be the invincible bionic person, and basically a second chance of life, because basically last time he saw the one of the main characters, something happened, and basically it's changed him, and he's like different, and he's not the same, and he's basically working for this company that is evil and crazy, and he just does a really well done job, really great job, and just a really amazing job at this performance, and just as a really fun role. Really enjoyed his performance. Thought he was a great bad guy, and really, think if you enjoy his performances, definitely check out this film for his performance. So that brings me to the final actress I would like to talk about in this film. Now, the person I'm going to be talking about is an actress that has been in a few things over the last couple years. She's kind of a rising star. She's becoming bigger and bigger in different films. She's been in a few films over the years. That I thought she was pretty decent in the film. And I didn't think she was the best part of the film, but definitely she was fun to watch in her interactions with the other characters in the film. And I thought that she definitely was a decent addition to the film. And that, of course, is Miss Vanessa Kirby. Oh yeah. So Vanessa Kirby, you might recognize from I believe she was on The Crown. I believe she's been in a few other things over the years. And a couple films I've actually seen her in is the films I'm going to be talking about. I liked the films that I saw her in, but her performance in the films weren't the best part of those films. But definitely she wasn't too bad. Now, the first film I'd like to talk about that she was in was none other than a film that came out, I believe, in 2016. And is based on a actual true story of one of the greatest, I shouldn't say greatest, but the worst, weather history of a great mountain that everyone loves to climb. And that, of course, is the film called Everest. Oh, yeah. So back in 1995 is one of the worst storms happened on Everest ever. And this movie is basically about that expedition and what happened to these people that were trying to climb Everest at the time. And Vanessa Kirby actually plays one of the main characters' wife that's, back home, having to deal with this terrible crisis of this, storm, and, hopefully wishing that her husband returns, basically. And she did a decent job. She was okay, and she definitely portrayed the character very well. And I thought that she was very good at being sincere about dealing with the tragedy and, dealing with what's going on with the character. And I thought she did a, pretty decent job, and is one of the few films I've actually seen her in besides the other two films I've seen her in, which is Hobbs and Shaw and the other one I'm going to be talking about. So the second film that Vanessa Kirby was in that was a really good movie, and she was an okay addition to the film, was an awesome film that came out last year as well. That was a really intense, awesome action thriller that just was amazing, awesome, and just one of the greatest sequels and one of the greatest franchises around. And that, of course, is the film called Mission Impossible Fallout. Oh, yeah. So in Mission Impossible Fallout, Vanessa Kirby plays a, small character role that was kind of pivotal to the story, but not, it wasn't a huge role. But still, at the same time, the performance that she brought was pretty decent and pretty good addition to that film. Now, her performance also was, kind of a little dry, I felt, but at the same time, there was a couple scenes where I feel she really brought a really great presence to the character, and that was really enjoyable to watch. Now, her performance also, like I said, was an okay addition to the film, but at the same time, it also was a really good addition to the film because, being a newcomer, she kind of gave a little bit of a new flavor to the film's franchises, starring roles that have been already in majority of a lot of the films, and kind of gave it, a new addition. If they decide down the road when they do 2 more films, they could add her in it too as well if they wanted to. So I feel that all in all, it was a really good choice, and she did a pretty decent job. Now, it comes to her performance in Hobbs and Shaw. I really enjoyed it. I really liked her character as Jason Statham's sister. I think they worked really well together. I thought they were really fun. I thought that she was a decent addition. I didn't think that she was the best part about the film or the actors that were involved, but she still was pretty fun and enjoyable to watch bantering between her and Jason Statham, and just her relationship with Dwayne The Rock, and just how her whole performance was as being Shaw's sister in the film. I really enjoyed that aspect, and I thought it was a nice little addition to seeing more of Shaw's history as well. So I thought she did a pretty decent job and was a good addition to the film. If you're a fan of Vanessa Hudgens, definitely check out this film, people. It's worth the watch for her performance. So if you're not familiar with what Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw is about, basically the governments bring back Hobbs and Shaw to work together on basically saving the world again. And this time it is supposed to be after Fast and Furious 8. And this is supposed to be now, I believe a year or so later after Fast and Furious is supposed to be happening, that this occurrence happens where they have to deal with Idris Elba's character. And basically the movie is pretty much about them trying to save the world, saving Shaw's sister, and at the same time kind of becoming a dynamic duo themselves and trying to work together. And that's pretty much what the film is about. It's a really awesome concept. I thought it was a really great spin-off series idea because Hobbs and Shaw are such great characters that are a part of the film, of the Fast and Furious franchise, from Fast 5 and on. And they just were so much fun to watch in those movies. It was great to see them get their own solo film, which was just as great. I honestly feel that Fast and Furious Hobbs and Shaw is one of the best of the Fast and Furious franchise. I think it's, up there between 1 and 2 for me. And I think this movie was really fantastic. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely go check it out in theaters. Can't wait for it to come out on Blu-ray, DVD, 4K, and add that to my collection. This was just a really superb film, really well directed, and just a really awesome action flick. Like I said, if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out, people. Worth the watch. So that's it for this movie review, guys. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. And also, thank you for subscribing. And if it's your first time here and you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Do I have to ask Dwayne The Rock Johnson politely to come on and say, hey, yo, sign up? Come on, people. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss this video or any of the awesome videos I put up. And as always, people, check out the Awesome Horror Pack, people. The Awesome Horror Pack is an awesome subscription service that you get right to your door every month of awesome horror goodness. So if you're a huge horror fan, you like getting a wide variety of, different horror films. It could be anywhere from a Scream Factory to a Shout Factory to, a Horror Pack exclusive that's, signed by the director and so forth. This stuff is awesome. You always get in your awesome box every month. So that's something that interests you. Definitely check out the link down below and check it out, people, because it's really awesome. Plus, also, you get a discount on your first month if you hit that awesome little link down below, too, as well. And it's an awesome service, too, and you get 4 Blu-rays or 4 DVDs. Either one you can get, and they're awesomely and really greatly priced, too, and worth the pricing. Because, you barely go anywhere and get a Blu-ray, 4 of them for $20, you know what I mean? So, definitely something to check out, people. If you're interested, hit that link down below. And as always, people, catch you in the next one.